Ah, hello, my friends. It's me again, Carpo. I just sat down after removing my cabinet doors in the kitchen. I'm getting ready to remodel, get my house ready for sale, to finally get the place my wife and I want to retire in and die in. And we've been looking for quite a while, but this project requires a little bit of remodeling at my home before we can sell it. So I've been taking the doors off the cabinets, my old Home Depot cabinets that I bought. They're oak, but I decided what I'm going to do is paint them. But I'd oiled them in the past instead of putting a finish on there, so I can't just paint over them or prime and paint them because the oil doesn't allow the paint to adhere. So I have to go and I removed all the doors. I'm going to hand sand them down and then paint them and put them back up and try to get all those things done. And I was thinking of just how grateful I am to have the skills I have to do carpentry around the house, to be able to fix my own things. And recently I've been trying to get my youngest son interested in other things, occupy his time, other than the internet and gaming like every kid does. So he's been nagging me to take him to play pool because I told him there were pool tables at the local rec center, and we've been going down there and playing, and it's great. They have two pool sticks that they'll give you, right, with the balls and everything. You give them your ID and $3. It's $3. You can play as long as you want, basically. There's never anybody there. It's great. But I thought, over the last, here's the thing. My friend and I used to play pool like for hours back in our, let's just say, the days when we were up for a long time. we would play there for sometimes like 6-8 hours just straight, and it was this little pool hall that opened up in Tigard, Oregon, which was where we lived at the time, and it was run by this Asian family, and it was very, let's just say that everybody there who went to play pool was Asian. It was interesting. We were like, the only white dudes there, but we were there all the time, and we played pool so often that I got into doing like quadruple bank shots and stuff like that. I was really into pool at the time. This was back in the late 90s to early 2000s. And then I met my wife, and I hadn't really played pool since. So maybe once or twice, right? And I, over the last couple decades, acquired two pool sticks. A wooden one here and a graphite one. Well, the graphite one is really just wood with graphite on the outside. It's pretty meaningless. So I wanted to kind of make them my own, right? And the graphite one, the tip broke right off. And while I was kind of amidst my fix your own stuff mode, I thought, well, I'm just going to order a new tip. I thought you can either order the whole ferrule with the tip, which you pull the whole tip off and put a new one on, or you can just order just the tips. And they come in packs on Amazon of like 20 for like $7, $6, right? I knew right away they were shit quality. I don't like ordering stuff online. I found some fancy leather ones that were $20 for two, and I thought, this is another opportunity for me to fix my own shit. So I went out and I found an old belt that was in our Goodwill pile. I cut out with the general cutout with some like shears, two circles. Well, one circle, and then I had to end up doing two because it wasn't enough. And this is what I ended up with. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's two pieces of leather that have been attached together, and then to the ferrule, and then wood glue on the outside. I just used hot glue to attach them together and to the ferrule, and then I have shaped it with a hand file, and I thought, okay, all I needed was one. I probably won't be playing pool that long, right? It's the same thing with when you call a contractor to fix one thing. You don't need to have, spend a bunch of money on something if you know what you're doing yourself and know how to fix it. This other pool stick I have, the tip's fine, but this one's interesting. It actually is in 4 sections. I haven't had a pool stick like this, but that means you can disconnect this and remove this whole section here and just make it very short. which I can understand and I assume would be for places where you have tight shots to make, because I've been in pool halls where, you didn't have a lot of room. Anyway, pool's a fun thing to do, and that's not really the point, but I'm trying to think of the vast list of things that I've tried to fix myself. My stereos, the tool that I bought, for example, this DeWalt saw, this little 3.5-inch blade, or it's a 4-inch blade, 4.5, I guess. And the way that it was set up is when you extend it, when you fully push down the throat to where it was at its deepest cut, the little knob that locked the blade hit the plate of the saw. And it was this way when I bought it. So I removed the O-ring and just moved it up a couple notches, and boom, it's perfect now. But the O-ring that came with it was shit, and it bent and it wouldn't go back. So what did I do? I went to my drawer, I pulled out my box of O-rings and found a matching clip or O-ring that worked for it. Then I went out and got my O-ring pliers. You see what I'm getting at here is there are times when I am vindicated in having all these random weird tools and all this random weird knowledge and ability to fix things. Then there's times when I just say, why do I have all this shit? I have a 1,000 square foot house, right? I think it's even less than that if you don't include the garage, which is loaded with storage. I need a place that's at least twice this big because I have enough stuff for like 2,000 square feet, but I don't want to get rid of it yet. Somebody mentioned the other day, well, when I posted my cell phones in the collection I have, and somebody's like, why not just get rid of them? And they mentioned hoarding. And I thought about how funny it is if anybody saw my house and all the stuff I have. Like right here, there's a table saw with a jointer, with 2 band saws, with a planer and a chop saw, 2 chop saws, endless tools under a tarp here that I'll use. Some of them once in a while. Some of them I don't necessarily need. Some I need to sell off and get rid of. But when you do need it and you don't have it, and I'm always wrestling with that kind of do-it-yourself attitude. I despise calling people. I hate it. I hate calling people to come work on my house. I don't like calling plumbers. I don't like calling electricians. I don't like calling, especially not carpenters. I mean, I can do any of that shit. But I started off roofing. I'm going to be doing my roof probably this spring to sell the house. And it's going to be a nightmare because I hate doing it. Roofing sucks. But y'all know how much it costs to have that done. Shit, just Gutter Guard comes out and they want to put on little screens on your gutter for fucking like 10 grand. It's insane what people charge for construction labor. So I empathize with y'all who are reluctant to call anybody else, and I'm right there with you. Even as a guy who works in construction myself, sometimes you just have to call an expert, like the weird red wire that appears in my bedroom and my bathroom but isn't anywhere else in the house. Somebody did some rewiring, and now I think I have to ground one of the wires to the box to make it work. Not safe, need to fix it. So, just kind of wanted to rant a little bit about that. Fixing your own stuff, and that brings up the Right to Repair Act and right to repair in general, which, if you're not familiar, is a huge movement and a genre all its own of fix your own shit, which they try to post schematics and tutorials and how-tos on how to fix your iPhone, your stereo system, your television, whatever it might be. And sometimes it's really as simple as having a soldering gun, desoldering and removing a capacitor, putting a new capacitor in and soldering it on, and saving yourself like $1,000. Most people don't want to do this. Even I find it a daunting task to do these things. But if you learn how to do them, you can save yourself a lot of money. The problem is that there are people trying to block this knowledge, block people from fixing their own things. Just on a side note, Apple is one of the worst offenders. I always joke with my friend about having, Apple and using their products, and for me, it's not that their products are bad. They're great products that seem to work well. The operating system works well. I mean, it's got its own issues, but the problem is you're locked into this, this platform that you have no escape from. You can only use their approved applications, and they are basically not just overpriced for what they have, but they glue their batteries in place and their cases together in such a way that they make it as difficult as humanly possible to actually repair them. I know a lot of you probably, if you're younger especially, don't remember the early phones. But the early phones, you could actually take them apart. And even up until, 10 years ago, you could still buy phones with removable batteries, where you could, if you wanted to, go online, go to eBay at the time, and buy extra batteries for, say, $5-10 a piece. And you could carry them with you. And when your phone was about to die, you know what you could do? You could just put a new battery in it. This seems like such a simple concept. And it's not because of difficulty of manufacturing they stopped doing this. It's because it makes it far too easy for your phone to last a long time. And they are designed to fail. This is the, planned obsolescence, as they call it, which a lot of products are indeed designed to fail after a certain point. They put a weak component in it. So you have to get it fixed. Even cars are getting to be this way, where you can buy like a 90s or 80s car and everything's right there in the engine compartment, work on it, or 60s, 70s, whatever. After that, into the 2000s, especially the 2010s and 20s, oh, fuck that. You're not working on your own car. You look under the hood and it's just all packed in there. There's no way to get to anything. You have to put it up on a lift. You have to have a specialist. You can't check your own transmission fluid. Like, we've hit this kind of automated world where the people like me who do fix my own shit aren't even able to. And that can be frustrating, but people find a way around it. They've even been sued for showing the schematics for like an Apple phone so you can do it yourself. There's one group in particular, I wish I could remember their name. They might just be Right to Repair Act or something like that. But there's one guy, Louis Rossman. He's a YouTuber who does like tech kind of reviews stuff, talks about computers and a lot of different shit, but he's mentioned them before. And so it's good that people talk about it. I know that for a lot of folks, they might not think that the right to repair is a big deal, being able to fix your own stuff, but to give you an example of how bad it gets, most of the modern tractors that are used in the farming industry that are required, so these companies like Monsanto and others buy out or at least run a lot of these farms. Even if the people still own it, they'll say, if you're growing our seed, you have to abide by these certain rules. Well, the same thing goes with the tractors you drive. You buy a John Deere tractor. It has a GPS sensor in there that allows you to harvest your wheat, your corn, whatever it might be, at a certain rate and following the GPS coordinates, which is usually reliable. But if it fails, you can't harvest your crop. You don't have a choice to just kind of wait a month. You got to do it now. So you have to have it worked on by a specialist who is John Deere approved. And there was a big movement among farmers to allow them to fix their own shit. So one farmer, I don't recall the details, but he downloaded from the bought from the black market from a guy in Ukraine, of all places, the schematics and some, what he needed to be able to fix his own shit. And he started giving that to other farmers, and it opened up this big can of worms. And I thought, how dare any company hinder the farmers from farming? John Deere would do something like that? Shocker. Big corporate America really, giving it to the little guy, right? Of course, most farmers aren't little guys anymore, and if you're using a GPS-controlled harvester, you're probably, pretty well off, and it's not like these guys are all poor. They're making millions a year, but that's not the point. The point is that there needs to be an incentive for people to farm. There needs to be an incentive for people to do it right, but there also needs to be the ability for people to do some basic things like fix their own fucking tractors. So, I don't know. I'm going to continue to fix my own things as long as I can. I've bought some old stereo equipment and fixed it up. I know how to change my own oil and swap out an alternator and, do some basic construction. Well, all construction, basically. And I think, especially for men, knowing these things can be so rewarding. So, especially if you're a young guy, try to learn as many things as you can. If you have a friend who's changing his brake pads, watch how he does it. It's not that hard. It's easy. These things can save you hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in your life by learning how to do it yourself. Fuck, we just remodeled my wife's mom. She passed away last year, and we were remodeling her house because we had to put it on the market, and we weren't getting offers at all. So, what we wanted. So I remodeled it for her using the knowledge that I have, putting in new laminate floors that were LVP, so completely stain-proof, leak-proof, new baseboards, new moldings, new trim everywhere, new doors in the whole house, some carpet squares downstairs that we got secondhand. We put in a lot of time and a few $1,000, but it returned with like a $70,000 increase over what we thought we might get for it. It was worth it. So your investment into fixing your own stuff can be very valuable. Just like me not having to spend $10 for a pool cue tip because I can just make one out of an old belt that I'm going to throw away anyhow. So, I guess, go out and do it. Try it. You're going to fail a few times. Don't be embarrassed if you fail on making something or creating something. I've done it a million times. I've done a horrible job at things. And it looks like some hack did it, but if it works, it works. So, anyway. Peace and love. I'll talk to y'all next time. Be well.
Whoa! I beat the whole game without even taking a hit.
I could have done that.
Thanks for coming to Carpo's channel, yo. Yeah.